This is Bar Run Forge. I'm Troy, and we've got another project for you today. We're going to do a steak turner. We're going to match it up with the full set. We've also already done a spoon, a spatula, and the roasting fork. So we're going to try to make a steak turner or a meat turner that matches this set so we can have the full set. And in the process, as we normally do, we're going to connect that to a biblical principle. I know some of you guys are kind of probably wondering, but I think you can figure it out. One of the things that I want to accomplish today is number one, to complete the set, but I also want to tell you about something that's upcoming. I think we have all the technology in place, and over the next few days I'm going to work to get that put together to make sure that we can do a live stream. Now, for those of you who are interested, I love the fact that we can get together in the live streams to do to connect the community and bring us all together. I just love the community to begin with, so I want to do that as well. Not necessarily just to promote this channel, which is fine to promote the channel. I'm excited to do that, but I really just want to connect as much as possible with the blacksmithing community. So you can see back on the board back there, I've got a few stickers. For those of you who are interested and want to trade stickers or want me to send you a sticker from Bar Run Forge, whatever that means for you, I'd be more than happy to do that. We've got plenty of stickers to give out right now or to trade with. But today, we're going to do a steak turner or a meat turner, and we're going to do it in the propane forge. With that being said, I can actually just use this microphone. It shouldn't be too disturbing. It's generally not too loud. So let's give it a shot. Here we go. Obviously, as you can see, had a little issue with the propane forge today, so we're in the coal forge burning some coke. Just going to start this project with a piece of 3/16 flat bar. It's 1.5 inches wide. There's number one. Drop forging number one. This piece of 3/16 by 1.5 inch flat bar was about approximately 12 inches long. And so right now we're just setting down a portion of the tip of that so that we can identify the mass that we're going to use for the turner portion of it. We're going to taper this out after we set it down. Using half on, half off, or half face blows, and then working it on the flat of the anvil, trying to keep everything straight. Just set it down some more so we can start working the taper. Really just trying to keep that portion of it clean, trying to prevent any cold shuts. And then we just start working the taper. We're going to start with a square taper, trying to keep everything nice and straight, try to prevent any foldovers. Working it square. Now this taper is going to be a fairly long and a fairly fine point. The point on the taper has got to be able to dig into a piece of meat. So it's going to be a fairly fine point, fairly sharp. Continuing to work the taper down.
And as we normally do, working down the edges to an octagon so that we can work it into a round. Continuing to work the taper into the octagon and the round, rounding it up, making sure we have the correct length on the taper. Making it round. Then I used a technique that I saw Mark Asprey do, where he filed his rounds hot, and it seemed to smooth things up. The camera didn't get a really good picture of that, but it really seemed to do a nice job of keeping the rounds really smooth. Now I'm just beginning to taper the front edge of the handle and trying to match it up to the spoon and the fork and the spatula. So just tapering it down, allowing the mass to gain a little bit, but trying to keep that as an equal taper on both sides. So I'll work from one side to the other and then trying to keep everything flat, keep from having any folds. Then I measured off a portion that was equal to what the other items in the cook set were, so that I could match the taper both in distance and width. Checking the length, checking the width. At this point, the majority of it's a little bit thicker than the 3/16. Probably not a 1/4 inch, but it has thickened up a little bit with the taper. And there's number 2. Drop forge number 2. Flattening it out, keeping everything parallel, even. Just continuing to work that same taper. At some point in time we'll work it back towards the back of the handle. And ashamedly, I'm using vice grips as my tongs. Don't have some very good tongs for flat work, so I end up using probably what I shouldn't, but it's working for me. Now we're working that taper back down to the top of the handle toward where the ring will be. I made a scribe mark to tell me approximately where to start that down, and I have an idea, measurement on the width that it needs to end up, so I just keep working that. Trying to keep things flat, even. Take a quick measurement. That down to its proper width. If I remember correctly, it was about 7/8. Which was pretty close to what it was on the spoon and the fork and the spatula. And at some point in time, when I get all these dimensions to match up, I'm going to go over the Hardy cut and I'll cut that off. I don't think that's on the reel here, but you all have seen the Hardy cut done before. Take some measurements again, get an idea right where that needs to go down, that set down needs to happen for the ring. Again, half face blows, and I worked it to the same side as the hook, so that tail will be on the same side of the handle, not the same end, same side. And just continue to work that down until I get to the point where I know I've got enough material to make the hook. I cut that end off. It's kind of fanned out right there. Again, trying not to allow anything to fold over. And I'm sure there's another technique or a better way to set that down and make that material. And I hope to learn that very soon. So we cut that off, and now we're just going to work down that tail with the taper. This taper is a little bit more blunt. It's a little thicker, a little heavier. It doesn't really need to be real fine as a point. So we're just going to continue to work that down. And obviously we'll work that square to octagon to round, just like we do the majority of them. Sometimes we leave them square. I like the round taper, especially for a hook or a ring at the top of a utensil or something. Going to the far side of the anvil so I'm not smashing the anvil with the hammer. Need to bring it out, work that taper. After I've got it rounded up, I put the rat tail on, big tail, curly cube, turning it back up towards top, and really just doing those glancing blows to make that curly cube. I take it over to the horn so that I can offset that so that the ring is more easily centered. Working it around, and notice it gets a little cold, so heat it back up, and then using the horn of the anvil make the ring round, or as round as I decide to make it. Set it a little bit more, keep it centered, square it up, and I did quench the tip just so I could utilize the curly cube to help round it up and center it. I actually forgot to do it that time. Just needed a couple little taps though. No damage done. Once I'm happy with that, actually take it back over to the horn after a good brushing with the butcher block brush. I'll take it over to the horn here in a second, and so got some heat left, and do the bend for that end of the handle. Making a quick comparison to the spoon as my guide. Notice I hold it at an angle across the horn because it has a tendency to twist. So now for the turner portion of it, I want to turn it nearly 90 to the edge. And this is kind of a stressful thing because if there was any stress in that point, if there's a cold shut or a stress riser of some sort, that thing could break off and all that hard work, you have to start all over again. Turned out okay. So then we just, to start the turn, we just essentially use my homemade scrolling tongs, also known as a pair of needle nose pliers I rounded the tips of. Just give me an idea, and then I'm going to take it back over to the horn again and just kind of refine that round. Now there's a portion of it that I'm going to leave flat, and that really is just to help grab a hold of that steak. Just keep working that until I'm happy with the way the hook goes. Now, some of you are probably noticing it's a fairly large hook on the end, and I'm okay with that. I mean, if you wanted to grab a pretty good size chunk of meat and turn it completely over, maybe you need that much. So again, we go across kind of at an angle across the horn so that we don't get a twist. So I'm happy with the comparison to the spoon and the bends, the handle. This really doesn't need as much bend in it. It's just really just to try to match the set. Some minor adjustments. And obviously at the end we'll do another wire brush, and we finish it all up with wire brush, finish it off with beeswax. It's food safe. Just some final adjustments. A little bit of filing. Put the finish on. Fun project. Final look, make sure everything kind of matches up. Brush and the wax.
Welcome back. We've completed our steak turner, and I'm just going to show it to you. There it is. Got the hook on it, and it's designed to hook that steak, flip it over. And it's a little bit bigger than some of the other steak turners, but hey, if you want a big steak or a big pork chop, big piece of chicken, whatever, there it is. There's your tool. And so that completes our set. That completes our set of cooking tools, our cooking utensils. So there they are. So I'm pretty pleased with it. You know, first time going in, making a cook set. We learned a whole lot about what to do, what not to do, and certainly look forward to making some more of these. So, of course, you know what I got to do. We got to get that thumbnail. So we'll just hold that dude right out there just like that. And there is our steak turner. Okay? All right. Now, you know what's going to happen next. We're going to talk about kind of what this means. We're kind of walk around
We've used the term with blinders on. You felt like you thought you knew everything that was going on around you, but turns out you didn't. And when the blinders were taken off, it was kind of a pretty neat thing. It was a great experience because you figured out some things that maybe you thought were true, but they really weren't. Well, when we truly hear the Word of God and we respond in such a way that it makes us different, it's just like that. It's just like all the information is really just coming out. I want to look back at 2 Corinthians, and we're looking at chapter 3, verse 16 in the New Living Translation. And it says, "But whenever someone turns to the Lord, the veil is taken away." Whenever someone turns to the Lord, the veil is taken away. Well, I know it may be a stretch, but so we make a meat turner, steak turner. Think about it. You're cooking on the grill, and it's time to flip that steak over. It's time to turn it, that pork chop. Okay, so we hook it, and we turn it over to reveal that the back side of that looks different than the other side. That the other side of things isn't exactly what we thought it was. We hoped that when we flipped it over, that it had the grill marks and that it was done to a certain point. But you know as well as I do, there are times when we flip that steak or pork chop or whatever over, I got it too done, or I didn't get it done enough, and I'm going to have to turn it back over. But here's the deal. When someone turns to the Lord, it's like the blinders have come off. What is real? What is truth? What is the way it really is revealed. The veil is taken away. The blinders are off. So I encourage you, just take a look. Take a look at who God is and who God has been and what He has done in so many lives, and understand that when we turn to Him, the blinders will be taken off. Once again, I'm so glad you're here with me today. We've got a lot of exciting stuff coming up. I just continue to absolutely love showing you blacksmithing as I learn it. As I've said, I'm a novice at best at doing this, but I absolutely love it. This is one of my passions in life to do, and I'm going to continue to do this as long as I can and bring you a little bit of what God has to tell you, a little bit of biblical truth. And so I just hope that you continue to join in with us, subscribe, and smush that like button, like that smush button. Yamez, that's for you, buddy. And hit that, I have to remember, hit that reminder bell so that when our videos come out, that you're reminded, you're told that they're coming along. So great to be with you once again. You want some stickers? Let me know. And God bless you guys. We'll see you next time.